Amazing questions. The first question was, how did I know that this was a thing that I could do? And to answer that question, I didn't really at first. So what happened was, when I was really younger, the first time I ever sensed another presence around me was when I was about 4, and I got really scared. And I don't really know why I got scared. It just felt like something was in the room with me, and there was no one in the room with me. So that's the first time I sensed a presence. But my first actual experience was when I was between 9 and 11. And my parents got a great deal on a beautiful murder house that they were renovating. So I started having a lot of really horrifying experience there for a kid. But now that I'm older, I know that, it's not that big of a deal. But my experiences when I was younger was very, they were scary for a kid to not understand. And then adults don't really understand what's going on. They're like, oh, you're just gonna grow out of it, or you're just having night terrors or whatever. So it's kind of just something that gets swept under the rug a lot. But hey Yolanda, so when my first validating experience, when I knew that I could do this, was when my mother-in-law's father passed away in 2015, and he came to me with some validations and had a message for his wife, which was my mother-in-law's mother. Now, my mother-in-law's family, her parents, they're very Catholic people, and what ended up happening was he gave me these validations, and I basically was like, I'm gonna look crazy to these people. I can't give this message to anybody. This is nuts. And he was like, tell them about the necklaces. Tell them about the necklaces. And I had no idea about any necklaces, but I was just like, okay, I don't know how to do this. So I called my mother-in-law and I told her that I had a dream. Okay, because I thought maybe that might sound a little bit less insane than saying, I know you're still grieving your dad, but this happened. So, I told her I had a dream. I told her, the validation. She had her mom call me. The necklaces were a validation for them. And it was 2015, so 5 years ago. So I was about 23, 24 at the time. And it all checked out. And then I just didn't touch it again until this year. But I've had a couple other things happen that have been very personal to me, because of my husband passing away. So that was around the time that I knew that I could develop this if I wanted to, and then decided to this year, or was brought to it this year. After that, the next question was asking about deja vu, and how there was a post about deja vu and how it was coordinated with timeline hopping, and someone wanted me to explain that. So the answer to that is that if you take the physics of what we know with if you ever watch Joe Dispenza's work, or just quantum physics in general, with the quantum realm, time isn't linear, but rather everything's happening simultaneously right now in different realities. And so if you think about manifesting, you're pulling something in from a reality where you already have it. Okay, so it kind of overlaps past, present, future, because we're not moving in a straight line. So when you have deja vu, it's because something has already happened in another timeline, and then it happened in this timeline, and you're like, oh, it felt like this happened before, and it's because it did, but not in this reality. So we're kind of connected to all of the versions of us, past, present, and future, and all of the possibilities of us right now. So that's kind of the concept behind manifesting, and that's kind of the concept behind where deja vu comes in, because then you're kind of it's if you've ever heard of the Mandela effect, where a lot of people feel something happened, but it didn't. I don't know if you've ever looked up the Berenstain Bears, but half of reality remembers Berenstain Bears being spelled EIN, and half of it remembers it spelled with an A instead of an E, and it's actually spelled with an A instead of an E, but I remember it with an E, and so do a lot of other people. And that's just another instance of what can happen when timelines kind of merge together, because it's really weird. There's a lot of other things online if you ever look up the Mandela effect, because Nelson Mandela was actually one of the effects. So that was it for the questions. Again, I'm sorry I haven't been on here, guys. I'm gonna get the website up as soon as humanly possible, but I want it to be good when it's up. So as of right now, if you have questions about free consults for intensives or spirit sessions, please hit me up directly. And then I'm also gonna post a really beautiful update on one of my clients that's taking my intensive. It melted my heart this morning, and I would just love to share it with you guys. So have a great weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday.